his parents, and what many would call, use the sick, twisted method in remedying that. Well, what he says he struggled with pales in comparison to someone watching a loved one grow terminally ill. And that's why we're here at the Capitol, because there's legislation pending right now that is controversial in nature, but some say could help someone die with dignity.
Lorenz Kraus claims he killed his parents out of mercy.
Because when elderly start to fall down, the time comes that they start to, beginning of the end. And my father also had cataract surgery.
Your parents asked you to kill them or to take their lives in a merciful fashion?
I think they want me to take responsibility for things.
They asked you to take their lives, to do what they couldn't do?
Implicitly, but not explicitly.
Did one parent, did your mom or your dad more so than the other, ask you to take their lives?
They didn't explicitly say that, but they made it clear that they were going downhill.
In legal terms, there's no such thing as a mercy killing. He's facing murder charges for their deaths. But how do his actions compare to medically assisted suicide, which could soon be legal in New York State? On October 27th, the state Senate voted on the Medical Aid in Dying Act, which would allow anyone diagnosed with an illness that would kill them within 6 months to have the legal right to end their own lives. It narrowly passed.
That's 35, next 27.
The bill's passed.
35 to 27 in the state legislature is a vote along party lines. In this case, even within the Democratic Party, the legislation had hesitations.
I remain troubled on those three fronts, but in the end, I cannot in good conscience vote for those who may face terminal illnesses to have them suffer in death, and with that, I will vote in the affirmative.
6 Democrats in the Senate did vote no, Republicans in the Senate aligning with that.
The only state in the country that has no waiting period involved in obtaining, if you want to call it, the medication. What's the justification for that? You don't need to see your physician in person before you acquire this.
As Governor Hochul ponders the bill, those are the concerns shared by the Catholic Conference of New York, too.
I can give you 35 reasons to oppose this bill. None of them mention God or church or faith. They're all about responsible legislation and what public policy does and what message it sends to the rest of the community.
Democrat Brad Hoylman-Siegel is the Senate sponsor of the bill.
What's your response to that talking point, would you say, so that in opposition?
Well, I have great respect for people who don't want to pursue medical aid in dying because of their personal, religious, or moral convictions. But I'd also suggest that they shouldn't impose those personal, religious, or moral convictions on the rest of New York. Anyone who is has the option for medical aid in dying has to be examined by 2 physicians and possibly a mental health professional if that's recommended, and they have to have a terminal illness. And so we think there are the safeguards in place, just like there are in California.
As Hoylman-Siegel mentioned, California Governor Gavin Newsom recently made his state's medical aid in dying legislation permanent. And with the clock ticking on the deadline of it being signed by the end of the year, Governor Hochul recently asked her thoughts on this bill. Hochul's mother died from Lou Gehrig's disease, which would be eligible for this bill.
I'll tell you, as governor, we're all products of our own circumstances and life's influences, but I have to be very careful not to allow that to color my decision-making when I'm making a decision, not for myself or my family, but for 20 million New Yorkers. So I do have the ability, and have many times embarked on this, to separate my personal beliefs, my religious beliefs, but I always have a very solid moral code that never leaves me when I make decisions for New Yorkers. So all that, I hear from a lot of people on that issue. It is strong. There are strong views on both sides of the spectrum, intense views on this, and I'm conscious of that, and it's going to be a very weighty decision on me between now and the end of the year, something that I take, as I said, enormously seriously, and we'll come to the right decision.
Those comments taken seriously by Assembly Bill sponsor Amy Paulin, who says they haven't heard much from the governor's office on the legislation. Usually there will be some communication between the governor's office and sponsors before a bill is decided on.
It's a little worrisome because I
don't think there's much opposition to this bill. The opposition is coming from one place. It's the Catholic Church and Catholic Conference. They tell me they're reviewing it, but we haven't heard anything more than that. So we don't know, whether she's waiting to veto it at the end of the year, or she's really thinking about making changes, or she's happy with the version we have. We have no clue.
But while the bill may soon be law in New York, it won't apply to the against Lorenz Kraus.
Governor Hochul has until the end of the year to either sign or veto the bill. We'll keep you updated on when she does. Reporting here from the Capitol, Tom Eschen, CBS 6 News.
8 years after his parents were killed, Lorenz Kraus says he's the one who did it, confessing not to the authorities, but to our cameras. It's the type of crime that defies reason, with a confession that raises even more questions. Why would a man kill his parents, then wait nearly a decade to say it out loud? We spoke exclusively to a forensic psychologist who breaks down what may have led Lorenz Kraus to kill and why he wanted the public to hear why he did it.
So first and foremost, I've never examined this individual, so I can't make a diagnosis, but I can give my impressions of what I saw. And what I saw was what seems to be a lot of grandiosity, a sense of major self-worth. Whoever examines him will, I would say, rule out psychosis first, rule out delusional disorder. And like I said, in delusional disorder, the person can act pretty normal in other situations. So somebody would have to examine him and rule out if there's any psychosis.
And so why would someone go to a television station instead of going to the police to confess and being so adamant about letting the people, the American people, hear him?
Again, because he thought he did something noble, worthy. He wanted his statement on YouTube. So a lot of attention seeking to feed his ego, to feed his sense of great worth.
The way that he killed his parents, using his hands on his father, murdering his mother with a rope, and then burying them in the backyard. What can we make sense about that entire situation?
His parents didn't explicitly ask him to end their lives. It was implicitly conveyed, is what he said. And then later on, he said, they gave me hints, made the decision to allegedly kill his father first, then his mother. He kept the bodies in the house for a couple of days. He kept these alleged murders of his parents a secret until a neighbor alerted the law enforcement, or it would still be a secret. And once he knew it was being investigated, that's when he contacted your station.
There has been some confirmation of a possible wife, although Lorenz has hinted at them being separated. What can you make of that?
Well, that would be interesting. A collateral source of information is what many people use in investigations, but definitely forensic psychologists. So I would, if I ever did an examination on Mr. Kraus, I would ask him to sign a release, and I would try to talk to the wife. And she has firsthand knowledge and observations of him, if a wife exists.
Right, so that person would be very crucial potentially for a forensic evaluation.
Yes, absolutely. A very good source of information.
Understanding why Lorenz Kraus confessed is one thing, but what happens next comes down to the law. Could his televised confession ever be used in court? And more importantly, could it be used to help his defense?
How the case began, how investigators unearthed the truth buried deep in the dirt behind a quiet Albany home, and how a confession spoken straight to our cameras changed everything. But the story is far from over. Now we look ahead to what happens next inside the courtroom. After a grand jury returned a 7-count indictment, which includes first and second-degree murder charges, both the prosecution and the defense face the long, methodical work of discovery, filings, and legal maneuvering.
It is a really big case. The investigation had been going on for months before we went to his house that day. And the investigation's ongoing, autopsies and medical reports and things like that. The financial records are enormous.
But now, the prosecution is ready to take the case against Lorenz Kraus to trial. And they say they've already turned over the bulk of their evidence, known as discovery, to the defense. That includes the recording that changed the course of this case, the on-camera confession he gave exclusively to CBS6.
You suffocated them. You suffocated your parents.
Yeah.
That was the best way to take their lives, through suffocation.
Basically.
The defense is now reviewing all the evidence, and they must decide what parts of the state's case they want blocked.
Your Honor, certainly we can address any issues we have in our omnibus motion, which I know is due in about a month, but certainly the vast majority of the discovery we received was at the very earliest Friday afternoon. So we're still going through things, trying to see if there's everything there that we expected, if there's anything missing.
By November 20th, the defense must file their motions, formal requests asking a judge to rule on evidence. And legal experts expect their top goal will be to suppress the confession, to keep the jury from ever seeing it.
If the defendant doesn't make this admission, it's exclusively solely a circumstantial evidence case, and the defense has a much stronger argument.
But beyond this confession, there is still critical forensic evidence that hasn't been made public, including the medical examiner's report, which would reveal the official cause and manner of death for the bodies found in the backyard. So while prosecutors say they're prepared to go to trial now, the defense is still building their case, and the judge has not set a trial date. And there's no word on whether discussions are happening on a plea deal. This case is still in its early stages, but what the defense files in November and what the judge rules afterwards could redefine a case that's already been full of twists and turns.
The human drama that played out here in this lobby will never be forgotten by those who were here. For Lorenz Kraus, the 30 or so minutes he spent in this chair, most likely the last free moments of his life. We are still waiting to see if the interview shot right here will be used in future court proceedings. If there's one thing we know, it's there's so much that we actually don't know, so many details about what happened inside that Kraus family home 8 years ago to those two children of World War II, Franz and Terry Kraus. Our promise to their memory and to you is that we'll keep on following this story.